All right. There will be no more. Welcome to the Last Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Chandler, here with my co-host, Christian Miller. And this is our part 2 of our Star Wars Visions breakdown. Christian cannot stop laughing.
Because before we started recording, you asked me if I wanted to shorten my name on the Zoom tile in case it showed up on the video and my full name would be displayed. And then you just verbally said my full name.
I didn't think about that. So for those of you who are listening on the podcast, we have recently started showing our faces on our YouTube channel. So if you go over there, you'll actually see our beautiful I'm not going to say that, but our faces on our YouTube channel. So since we're in a Zoom call, you can I guess see the names. And so I was like, Christian, you might not want to reveal your full name on, and I always forget that in the intro I literally say our full names. I don't have an issue with it. I hope you don't have an issue with it. It's been 2 years and I've been saying your full name for the past 2 years. So if you have a problem with it, whoops.
Yeah. I might have an off-air story related to this. But let's move on.
Well, Christian also made me laugh at the beginning of the episode because he tried to do the recording in progress voice. I might leave in me dying laughing when she said it, but we'll see.
You will, because it's less work if you do it. So
it is less work, and it's funny. It's a cold open, if you will, like The Office. What are we even doing anymore? What do we do on this show? I'm so confused.
You had me at first because you don't normally say things like it's a cold open, but then you're like, it's from The Office.
No, I was just saying it's a cold open like The Office. Who knows? Okay. So like we said, also you're probably realizing that this is not coming out on our normal Wednesday release. This is coming out on a Sunday.
Get on with it, Spencer, please.
Saturday. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, if you haven't listened to our Visions Part 1, you should go back and listen to that. It came out on Wednesday. That was a very fun episode. But now we're going to discuss episodes 5 through 9 of Star Wars Visions. Yeah. Not really a lot to intro with because we did all that in the last episode. So let's just hop right into it. And we're going to start talking about episode number 5, The Ninth Jedi. Christian, what do you have to say just right off the bat about this episode? Like it? I think it was one of our it was one of both of our favorites. I can't speak. English is hard.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
You probably could have. It wouldn't be that hard.
But yeah, I really like The Ninth Jedi. I like that it starts with its own sort of intriguing premise, and then immediately we're brought to the ground on the planet, and this whole other new coming of age story starts. I feel like I could have gotten more with the young Jedi character.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really like him that much. I feel like we could have just gotten
Ethan
something. Yeah, his name's Ethan.
His name is Star Wars. His name is Ethan. That was the first thing that I thought about, is that out of all the names they could have chosen, they chose Ethan.
Yeah, it's not like you can't be cool and be named Ethan. One of my favorite actors is Ethan Hawke, and I think also, Hawke makes up for Ethan. You don't think about you don't think of him as an Ethan. It's just Ethan Hawke, But
also Ethan Hunt is cool, and his name is Ethan Hunt, which is objectively one of the dumbest names ever. It's not like Hawk. Hunt does not make up for the fact that his first name is Ethan. It doesn't sound like
he's hunting.
I guess
action to it.
I guess I don't really think.
But isolated Ethan is not.
Yeah, isolated Ethan is just on another. It's bad. It's not a Star Wars name. But I mean, we have then we have another young Jedi. I guess she is considered Jedi at this point, but named La Cara. Her dad is La Zima, who in the English version is played by Shimu Liu, which is pretty cool. I think.
I did
It
not pick up on that.
I haven't seen it in English, so also have not seen Shang-Chi yet, so I wouldn't have picked up on it anyway because I can't hear his voice from all his years of modeling stock images, which is my favorite. This is so off like topic of the podcast, but one of my favorite, like I just love the fact that he modeled for stock images before he was a Marvel actor. But anyway, um yeah, dude, I loved having like because I think this is the first episode and the only episode that we have like two like separate storylines that kind of come together at the end. And it's more of like it almost has like a first act, second act, third act to this episode. That the other episodes I feel like may only have like one or two. Because we get introduced to all like the Jedi characters and then get their introductions, figure out their story, all this stuff. And then we move down to the planet's surface. We get the story of the bladesmith and his daughter. We get that introduction, that kind of story, and then they meet up at the end for like the third act, which I think is
I think I think what you mean is like an A plot and a B plot.
yeah.
Yeah. Like everything, as far as I can remember, everything has a like a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like major cliffhangers that like don't have like some sort of finish. But yeah, but the way, yeah, cutting between different stories. Um, yeah, it's definitely, I don't want to, I want to emphasize that this is very much like these episodes are their own stories. So let's focus on that, and then we can get into the extra takeaways we can get from this. So,
Yeah,
um, this was very forcey.
it was very forcey.
Like the lightsabers being like these weapons that like the colors change based on how you're using the force
And they
is
can
something
change.
that's
Yeah, and not only do they, because the bladesmith mentions that he made it to where, depending on the wielder, it changes between like it changes length and it changes color. But it can also, like we see in the final fight scene, like it can change color for one person mid fight.
yeah,
Because I don't know what the guy's name is, but originally his lightsaber is red and then it changes to purple by the end of the
wasn't it,
fight.
wouldn't it have been blue though? Or oh no, maybe under normal circumstances it's blue, but it was red because he was more consumed by the
Yeah,
rage of the other guys, and then it wore
probably.
down as it went on.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think because he mentioned that like he let their anger get to him
yeah,
at the end. Um, but yeah, I love the concept of like lightsabers that change depending on their wielder, because then it's like, because we all know that like lightsabers are generally made by their wielders and it's made to be yours. It's made to act like your style and be very much a reflection of you. And so at the beginning of the episode, when I was hearing that he was going to make all these lightsabers for people, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of like almost defeats the purpose of individuality with the lightsaber as much as individuality in the Jedi. It still is very individual because they're changing, because this person could hold it, this person could hold it, this person could hold it, all the same lightsaber, and it'll be different for every person. So, and it's also just a great storytelling device when they all ignite them and they're all red,
yeah,
because that was, I think, out of all like the twists, I guess, quote unquote, that happen in this series, this is the one that I did not see coming in the slightest. I was like, oh, they're all just like good guys. They're all good Jedi guys. I was like, what is the conflict of this episode gonna be? Like, I honestly thought the only conflict was gonna be her trying to get them there. And then when she got them there and there was still, 10, 15 minutes of the episode left, I was like, oh, well, there must be some other sort of conflict. So I like that. And I really loved the droid that he was inside of. That what does he get called? He gets called the Margrave that he is inside of. Um the robot, I can't help but be reminded of K2SO. The robot had big K2SO vibes, both in how he looks and just his acting. But yeah, I liked a lot of stuff about this episode.
They didn't really like exaggerate any much with like the animation style. It felt sort of like mainstream anime really.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's like super out there in terms of like animation like taking over the story.
Mhm.
Like with purely visuals, it's like all pretty much what's happened is there. It's not like the twins, or it's not, or not like
The duel.
the imagination sort of sequence in Toby one. So like it's not a negative or a positive. It's just like that's what the style is. Um, but yeah, I think it part of that could be that it's trying to appeal to sort of the mainstream Star Wars interest. Not in a like I'm not saying that in a cynical way, but like what we could get into is that the story is um I know from reading one article that like the writer um sort of saw it, so had to plan things out before and after the thing that we got.
Yeah.
So he's like thinking of, I guess, in like it's like a miniature version of George Lucas sort of planning out the saga,
Mhm.
but then just making one trilogy. Um, and so like there's definitely he's prepared to take it more directions. But then there's an article that I have not yet read. So apologies for possibly spreading misinformation. But apparently this is like not only like something that could go in different directions, but like the writer like wrote it as if it was a pilot episode. Um, which is going to be interesting for how this show is looked at possibly.
Yeah.
Because it's so it's such a like strange conundrum, because like they could easily make sequels to all of these episodes,
Mhm.
but that would take away what's special about it. um so I want that sort of anthology thing maintained, but at the same time I would take a Ninth Jedi series over a Bad Batch pretty much any day. Like even having
Yeah.
loved the Bad Batch, like in terms of like the directions that Star Wars could be going, I want Ninth Jedi more than I want stuff that
Mhm.
fills in canon.
Yeah. No, I agree. I also would just I'm so excited that we're probably getting a season 2 just because I really want more like this style Star Wars. I don't want us to have to like feel like we have to stick within the Rebels and Clone Wars style of animation because we've seen it since 2007, I think, is when the movie came out. Like we've seen the same style of animation since the original Clone Wars movie. So I like that we're seeing different styles and that they and I agree with you with maybe not wanting sequels because I mean I mentioned this in the last episode. I love going into it and not having to be like, well, how does this relate to this? What just happened that I have to remember so I understand stuff and how will this affect the future? Like I don't have to worry about that with these. And so it seems like very just like chill and relaxed. Um, but again, this is one of those episodes where I'm just like, I would love to see where this goes. Um, and stuff like that. This is also one of those episodes that I feel like they could easily be like, "This is canon," and we'd be like, "Okay," or
Yeah,
like,
because it's post Tross. It's just
"Yeah,
like the Jedi are long gone, but
yeah,
things are not as terrible.
yeah,
There's just like
exactly."
different names for things, different ideas about what the Force is.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Yeah,
And I like what you say her name was? Akara?
her name is La Cara.
Lakara. I really liked her as a protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
The speeder chase, you could tell was like influenced by Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Um, I anytime those like speeder noises, like with the Doppler effect,
Mm-hmm.
um, I believe it is called the Doppler effect. Sorry, inside joke. this show is for us, so we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like all her like sort of action beats were really cool. Um, and it's a fun little, I don't know, like it was the same sort of like mentor sacrifices himself and the hero has to go out and adventure. But because of the short duration, it was also quick and immediate. It was just like, I know exactly what you do. Hey, you get the lightsabers. I'm gonna go die now. And
Yeah.
the chase just begins. It was just
Well,
it felt so
and
urgent.
like, and one other thing, like you say it was quick, but like comparatively speaking, like the beginning of the episode was kind of slow with, all the Jedi kind of getting there and being like, what do we do? Like, I don't know. We just kind of wait here. And the girl is like going to her dad, right? But as soon as the Jedi hunters, as they're called, as soon as they get there, it's immediately like fast-paced action. Like it's going. But then it almost feels like that it slows down for like a brief moment while her dad, who is Lazima, that's who Shimu Liu plays. Um, as soon as he like sits down and is like telling her goodbye, it almost feels like the episode slows down for a second, and you get that like emotional beat, and then it speeds right back up again for this speeder chase. Um, although it's also never confirmed that he's dead. The acolytes, which is what they call themselves, said that they took him to another planet. So
Right.
that is also another great way to set up for a sequel.
I
Is
would what do you
set up
think
something for the protagonist to do.
what do you think he's on that planet for?
They probably want him to make more lightsabers, because if the Sith are here to get more lightsabers, because I mean, they
But
never say whether they're there to kill Jedi or to get lightsabers, but probably both. They were like two birds with one stone kind of thing.
that planet already has so many kyber crystals. So like, is there a planet with more of them
Who knows? But that's like,
or something?
but the fact that you're asking that question is exactly what the writers want you to do,
Yeah. Well,
especially
I
if
just
they're
remember
writing it as a
the
pilot.
the shot composition of them like with like the burning workshop and him being like thrown on the ground. It looked exactly like Owen and Baru,
Mm-hmm.
uh, except it wasn't his skeleton. So like obviously they didn't show him dead, but like it reminded me of that so much that like I was just like, all right, he's better off dead.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah,
it's like poetry, it rhymes.
yeah, but like the fact that you're asking the questions, like, well, why is he on another planet? What are their motives anyway? The fact that we're discussing that is exactly what the writer, if he was writing this as a pilot, it's exactly what he wants us to do, because now it's going to make everyone go, oh, well, I want to see like where this goes. I want to see what Lakara has to do to get her dad back, and then they're going to be like, okay, new
Mhm.
season of this.
It
I'll,
feels like a mix of A New Hope, Luke, and like Rogue One, with Galen Erso.
yeah,
Like it seems like he could like they could sort of like use a different perspective or look at it from a different vantage point with like someone dealing with kyber crystals and like being forced to work for evil. Um, it kind of is. I'm sure they would take it in an original direction, but it seems like my mind instantly goes to like something like that, but like where we get to see his conflict rather than like it being summed up in a speech.
yeah. I also really like, this is like just a visual thing, but I really like her lightsaber color before the fight, or I guess the lack of color of her lightsaber. I thought that was cool.
The
I,
lake water color.
I'm trying to figure out how they would do that in live action and like make it look decent. And I don't think that color can be done in live action very well.
I don't. What
I
makes you
don't
think they
know.
do it live action?
I don't. I was just thinking to myself, like I was trying to imagine it in live action for a minute, like because she's basically, no one would ever really have that unless someone else made a lightsaber. It's exactly the same thing, and then a non-Jedi wielded it. Um, the only thing I thought was a little bit weird, and it may be just like I don't know, maybe translation issues, but the fact that like her dad was like, as you get stronger in the force, this will turn a color, and then or this will like show that or whatever. And then the Jedi hunters were like, she is very strong in the force. And it was still like not colorless. I was like, oh, okay. But then it turned color and it was pretty awesome. It's like mid fight, her lightsaber turns green.
I I think the way I interpret it is that like she's always been strong with the force and she's like at the right level already, but like she's do you, is it clear that she's never used any of the lightsabers before?
Yeah, I think that this is her first time like using it, and she's also never tapped into the force before. Because I think her dad mentioned something that's like everyone, the force is in everyone, but only those who can tap into it can use its power, or something.
So like discovering it for the first time, it's not going to be at the full color or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the action scene with the speeder is like just trying to survive, not really thinking, just doing.
Hmm.
And then when she's fighting against the Sith, it's like she's made up her mind, she's confident in her abilities, and she knows what she's got to do, and that's when it
Yeah.
displays the Jedi color.
Yeah. That was also just a really cool moment whenever it switched over, and it's like, okay, she's a Jedi now. Like that was sick. And then her and Ethan take down all of that's all I'm gonna say for now. Her and also Ethan looked bland as heck. Like he didn't look cool either. He was just a dude. He was the most Ethan looking guy. Put that on a t-shirt. The most Ethan looking guy.
Um, Another thing I'll say is the sequence when we're first introduced to Lakara, the like the Kyber snatchers, like the machine that like goes and like clanks down on kyber crystals and then brings them to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Such a cool concept. That's one of those things that would be in like a concept piece for like the sequel trilogy, but like not
Hmm.
make it into the movies because they end up going with something conventional.
Yeah.
Like it's legitimately cool to watch.
Well, I remember watching it, and my thought about it was this makes no sense, but I love it. Like it doesn't make any sense, but it's Star Wars. It doesn't have to make sense. Like
Yeah.
that's the best part about Star Wars is that it doesn't always have to make sense. So
I think
uh,
it's like if they had a spaceship or space station, that'd be
yeah,
so expensive to maintain to just
yeah.
like go a few feet outside and take a crystal in. But if you set up base and camp, it's less energy to have like a metal machine that just goes like.
I also love that they look like oil drills. And so from a distance, it just looks like a bunch of oil drills, and then they fling this giant arm into space.
And then the worker droids, the like old fashioned steampunk
Yeah.
worker droids that
Okay.
sip coffee.
He just looked like Robin Williams in Robots. The head was the same.
Aside from that,
The head was the same. But no,
it
those
was
were so
cool.
cool.
They had so much personality without like having to make like it's so unlike most of the other droids that we've ever seen.
Yeah, but I love that moment when she's fighting and it cuts back to him and he's like, good one. Or he says something like implying that she's doing a good job. And he's so like, you're just, she ends up going like pushing him because he's going so slow. It's like an old man trying to like he doesn't want to do his job. There's literally he has no face, but he has so much personality. It's nuts. And there's all these other ones that have broken down over time, and it shows you it almost makes it feel like how abandoned this planet is, and they're like two of the only people on this planet. And that's what almost makes it feel like, because from what you know, that's your only source of like transportation off world, and they're all just rusted from lack of use over time. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things to like about this episode. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot.
We've almost done like 30 minutes on it.
Yeah,
So
we should probably move on. We should probably
yeah.
move on. All right, next episode. Am I allowed to go on? So there's something that Christian doesn't want me to see on IMDb, and so I'm having to ask whether I can go to the next episode or not. Can I go to the next episode on IMDb?
Yes. Episode. Wait, no. This
No,
is episode 6.
this is TOB1.
Yeah, no, it's not this episode.
Cool. I'm gonna scroll down to the cast. Hey, some dude's name is Kyle Chandler. He plays Mitaka. Heck yeah. Maybe we're related. Probably not. Anyway, yeah, so you really liked this episode, you said. After going, I went back and I was watching clips of it and like seeing pictures of it. And literally in the 2 days since I saw it for the first time, I like it more than I did. I don't think it's at the bottom of my list anymore. So
Good to hear.
yeah, I like this episode. It may also be because I was showing this episode to Katie and she was like, "Oh my gosh, he's like the cutest thing ever." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. He's really cute."
Oh, you mean the second time? Okay. I thought you thought you were talking about
Yeah.
the first time.
No, no, no. The
I thought you were
first
trying to be
time.
contrarian.
No. The second time I went back, I was showing it to Katie and she was like, "He is like the cutest thing ever." But she also agreed with me that the Jedi is just Steven Universe's dad.
Yeah.
So
What am
anyway,
I supposed to do with that?
I don't know. It just looks the same animation style. But yeah, so going back over this episode, I like it more than I did. Also, another fun fact, there's only 4 actors in this episode. It just
Okay.
doesn't seem like a lot. Every other episode has had like, about 10, 7 to
Mhm.
10 actors, and now there's 4. There's only 4 characters that actually speak in this episode. But yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with anything. But so what do you want to talk about the animation style a little bit more?
Um yeah. It's like Steven Universe. I
It
can't
is.
really can't speak to that, but it's very cute. And um was there some like watercolors in there? I don't remember.
Yeah. So it's in his like during his like visions or like him imagining himself as a Jedi, a lot of the background is watercolor, if I'm remembering correctly. And so it's
Yeah.
like the way to tell that it's not real is like he's imagining in watercolor. Um,
They use space as well.
yes, yes.
Uh yeah. It's I plus I my favorite color is blue, and like everything is some
Everything is
shade of
blue in
blue.
this episode. Yeah.
Uh that's really cool. I just like how it just like it really felt like this like sterile, like like lifeless, but in a way that's like in the way of like you're in it, like it's got this sort of like doctor's office sort of feel. That's what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
How like you're as a kid, you're confused at the doctor's office, but like any sort of toy you can play with makes it that much better. And so like the
For
imagination that
some
they
reason.
yeah. So like the
Yeah.
imagination that they managed to fill within this like very white, very gray, blue environment sort of like makes it feel like that sort of that base level of like origin for the childlike wonder. And then like as we get green later on as the plants start to grow,
Yeah.
um it really helps like illustrate the story of him like coming into his own and like feeling uh like he's more confident in who he is. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really I really like how they use visuals for that.
Also, this is really weird, but one of my favorite parts about this episode is when he first like steps out from being tuned up and he does that weird thing where he goes like hello and he like bends under himself and like his like
Yeah.
spins completely 360. I was like, that's so funny. And like I was like, that's how you know we ain't like being defined by the laws of physics in this episode. Like that's so funny. Um yeah, dude, I going back, it's one of those episodes that's it's like there's like there is weight to the story. Like, I mean, an Inquisitor literally killed one of the Jedi's, and then he comes back. But it's also like very much this is like, and not even in a bad way, but this is a kids episode. Like, I feel like it's, I feel and it's not a bad thing. I love episodes that are for kids. Like, there's some episodes of Rebels that I'm just like, this is solid, but it's also easier to understand and it's cute and that kind of thing. Um, I first off, I should also say the Inquisitor is very polite to bury the Jedi after he kills him.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I was like, the Inquisitor
What
would
if
have
the
never buried the
what
Jedi.
if the droids did it?
That would just be sad.
Christian, I don't want to deal with those feelings right now. So let's move
No,
on to a
I want
different
to
analysis.
believe. I want to believe that this Inquisitor is just really, really nice, and that he buried the Jedi after he killed them, because no other Inquisitor has ever done that in their life.
um, but oh, I was gonna say, um, yeah, it's a kids episode because it feels like the character himself is like just like any kid who watches Star Wars like
Oh
wants to
yeah,
be a Jedi,
I mean that was me when I was little.
but it's a kid who's like a human version of R2D2,
Mm-hmm.
and like kids already really love droid characters, so it's just like everything
Yeah,
very like the simple things that kids love about Star Wars.
yeah, and he's also like a kid in the fact that he refuses to believe the truth that he is a droid, and that you know, like Mitaka is the name of the Jedi, but he's constantly like, yeah, what he's like almost like you're a droid, like that'd be hard to be a Jedi, you're a droid, whatever. But like he refuses to believe that he's just a droid. Kind of like how kids are like, well, I'm not just a kid, I can do whatever I want. And that's like one of those things. It's like that's the point of being a kid, is that you can do whatever you want. And that's another reason why I feel like kids would very much relate with TOB1 and just like love this episode. Um, yeah, he gets trapped in the wall. That's pretty cool.
It's
I'm trying to think.
it's
It's also like the most straightforward story of this series, but it's also really wholesome because he brings life back to a dead planet. Like he's
yeah.
like, I want to get off this planet really bad. Like I hate it. Like I want to just go out and be a Jedi. And then his master gets killed, and he's like, I'm gonna finish his work. And then he brings life back, and that's really wholesome, and that's awesome. And then he leaves and becomes a Jedi.
And what I also like is that he searches the entire planet, right, for a kyber crystal,
Yeah.
and then he ends up finding it within himself when he has to fight the Inquisitor.
Oh yeah. I didn't
It's
need okay.
literally in his heart.
Yeah. He's like, where is it? It's supposed to be on this planet. Yeah, that was
It's
cool.
like,
Did he make his lightsaber out of parts of himself?
yeah, I think he's got extendo limbs or something. Like he's very dexterous. That's why he's able to do that little thing you did with his
Yeah.
how he
Yeah.
can flip his body over.
Yeah.
He can like regenerate. And like like if it's a kyber crystal, if you need a logical explanation for why a droid can be force sensitive, the kyber crystal's there. But I was already like ready to accept that
Oh,
droids are sentient.
I
Droids
didn't
are
care.
sentient. They can use the force. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Has there been other force sensitive droids?
Hmm.
I can't think of any.
Was there one in the Ninth Jedi?
No. I'm gonna have to look it up if you wanna if you wanna stall for time real quick. I'm gonna have to move my camera real quick so that I can actually
I can do it while you
type.
filibuster. But before you start filibustering, I'm going to filibuster about filibustering.
Filibustering is my favorite thing to do when I'm speaking in front of Congress. Well, that's what the term filibustering means.
Means you're bad at filibustering.
Yeah, it is. So have you found out about any force sensitive droids yet?
I don't think it's canon.
I think C3PO is force sensitive.
You can tell yourself that.
That's my professional opinion. Anyway, imagine if R2D2 was force sensitive. Man, he would cause some trouble.
Oh, apparently in the Dark Horse comics, which aren't canon,
No,
the droid that had a bad motivator was
yeah,
force
I
sensitive.
remember that. We've talked about that on the podcast. Now I feel stupid. I've mentioned
Really?
that. I've mentioned that on the podcast. Yeah, they say that there was a Legends arc where they mentioned that he was force sensitive and that R2D2 like told him that he had a mission to fulfill. And so he like blew himself up using the force or something.
Interesting. I
Or
think
that
there
he,
was a
or
canon explanation though
yeah, or it was that
that
he
he
could
talked to R2D2.
yeah. No, wait, the canon reason is that R2D2 talked to him. The non-canon reason that was in Legends is that he could sense that R2D2 needed to go with Luke. Like through the Force, he could sense that Luke needed to do that because it was like his like because like R2D2 doesn't really know like how important the mission is. Like there's no way he could like understand just how important it is for him to be with Luke. Like he thinks he has to be with Ben, right? So like why would he do that? But the fact is that that red droid was like, oh, I can sense that you have to go here, so I'm gonna blow myself up for you. And like that's an old Legends thing that is not canon, but that's the only force sensitive droid that I can think of.
It's so weird because like if you wanted to explain away something as like full of chances that you could just do that with R2D2.
Just say that R2D2 needed to.
Just take him through every thing that he's done and show that he's using the force there. Again, still unnecessary, but like
Oh
why do
yeah,
it for a minor character
I
and
have
name him
no.
Skippy the Jedi droid?
That was his name.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know what his name was. I know he's an R4 unit. Like he's a really old out of date R4 unit. But I had this is so weird. I had an action figure of that droid. I still do somewhere. Of the droid that blew himself up in episode 4. He was on screen for like a total of 4 minutes and I for some reason in 1974 when they first released the movie, it was my dad's. 1977. Sorry, 1974 was the year my dad was born. Okay, I was thinking about my dad. In 1977, they released an R4 droid, and I thought that was weird. But anyway, back to the actual thing that we're talking about. I really like TOB1's speeder that he builds, and I love his little astromech. I guess it's an astromech
Yeah.
that he has. It's so cute, and it looks like a bobsled,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like everything about this episode. It's just so it on my first watch, I was just smiling ear to ear the whole time. And I like that his name is TOB1 because it's like if the T stands for like tech and then the rest of it's just Obi-Wan.
Oh, I totally didn't think about that.
I don't know. I like it.
Well, and then they call him Toby at the end. Through the Force, Mitaka calls him Toby, and I was like, golf claps. That was good. That was good. Um, okay, so I thought about this the first time I saw the episode. I was like, this is just Astro Boy if he was a Jedi, right? And on IMDb it says connections references Astro Boy. Thanks,
What
IMDb.
specifically does it
It
reference?
doesn't say. It literally just says that it references the name TOB1 is based on Tobio, the name of the boy who's Astro Boy.
Uh,
So apparently his name is also based on the boy who Astro Boy is designed after.
got it.
Or it's just a coincidence. And IMDb reads too deep into things. Anyway. So yeah. Anything else for this episode?
No.
All right. Am I allowed to go on to the next episode on IMDb?
Yes. And I
Awesome.
want you to announce it if you want.
The Elder, episode 7. Or do you want me to announce the thing
The
that you think that
cast.
I'll be? Oh, okay. Holy crap, David Harbour's in this episode.
Yep.
Heck yeah. Does he play the Elder? No.
No.
He plays um the Jedi. That's cool. And Jordan Fisher plays the Padawan.
Who's that?
Jordan Fisher was on Disney Channel for a long time. My siblings watch it. He was on Liv and Maddie. He was on. I think he's in the new. I'm not mistaken. He's in the new High School Musical show. I think. Yep, he's in High School Musical, the series. That's such a dumb. And also, he was in The Flash for a while. So
All the major. He's now done all the things that you've watched.
Liv and
Well,
Maddie, and also he was in the new Teen Wolf.
I hear Teen Wolf was canceled or something. Anyway,
I think it was.
The Elder,
Yes.
starring David Harbour,
Yes.
as non Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, as close to Qui-Gon as you can get without being Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this is like Qui-Gon if he liked the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
That's basically what you have. This episode is up with one of my favorite episodes. I love the relationship between, I'm not gonna try their names. Dan and Tajin, I think is how you pronounce.
Man. The dreadful pronunciation of Dan.
Dan. Okay, first we had Ethan, and now we have Dan. At least Dan has a cool last name. His last name is like Gavash or something. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I love the interactions between them. I love that it's a Padawan that genuinely like really looks up to their master, and it's a master who's not like, do this, do this, do this. You must keep learning. You must keep learning. But it's also like he does compliment him, and he is like very much a father figure for Dan, and he also is not like babying him. Like sometimes we see Jedi and their Padawans, like the Jedi will baby their Padawans sometimes, but like he just like, all right, Dan, go into the forest, don't die, kind of thing. And yeah, I just love that he's willing to. He trusts his Padawan enough to let him do that. Also, I really love the Elder's lightsabers. I love that. Cool. I love that the this is just a tiny little design thing, but that like at the hilt where they emit, it makes it look like a handguard on a katana.
Yeah. So for me, it sort of visualized some of the things that I liked about the Master and Apprentice novel. With Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. It very much felt like that sort of like era of peace, sort of little missions that the Jedi would go on. And it's sort of like the Jedi working as like sort of like anthropologists, where they're not going specifically to do anthropology, but like they know a lot. He knows a lot about the cultures that he's visited. And so he goes to this planet, and he has like this understanding of how the tribes on this planet work, and knows how to respectfully navigate their customs and their beliefs. And I'm always fascinated by when Star Wars goes into that with their Jedi, because it makes a Jedi seem like that could be one of their main uses if we're thinking of like a ideal republic where like not everything is a war and the Jedi aren't leading battles. It's like they're traveling around, they're making sure planets are okay, and just like learning about the galaxy and stopping any threats that may sort of show up, and the Force guides them to wherever threats are appearing, I guess. And the threat for this episode, it feels very small scale, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think but as a consequence, this doesn't really impact me as much as some of the other stories. But it's ultimately just like one of those like nice little side adventures that serve as a lesson for the apprentice. I think I think maybe it would do well supplemented with a little bit more material about like why we should really root for Dan the apprentice, because I sort of like went back and forth between like, am I seeing this from the master's perspective or the apprentice's perspective, and not really leaning super heavily with one. Um, but there are some very cool moments that I love, like whenever he's making faces with the kids
Oh
and
yeah.
showing that he's more than just an adventure seeker and like who like craves violence. Like he still has that kid in him and like knows how to um like be kind as well as fight. I think that like I think he knows that his weakness is fighting, so he thinks that that's like his insecurity that he needs to like prove himself on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very I I I liked I liked his character. I don't love it, but I feel like we could have gotten more, but there's definitely a lot there that I think is very interesting to explore.
Yeah. Another thing that I liked, and I'm only noticing it now um while looking at images from IMDb, is that this may just be me like again overcomplicating things, but it looks like Dan is almost in a different animation style than the elder. It may just
Mm,
be because he's old and he has like a ton of like wrinkles on his face, but it really seems like Dan's animation style is much simpler than that of the elder. Like the elder just looks like a very complex, and that could just be like a style choice for them. But me being the person who looks way too much into animation decisions and also like weird visual things, it also could be also just like showing a difference in time and how someone like Dan's very much a new Jedi. This elder's been along for a long time or been around for a long time. And also just showing a distinct difference between them. There's a shot on IMDb of them standing next to each other, and it almost looks like Dan is like out of another show or something because of the way his animation is. Like it's his face is very flat compared to the elder, who is like just a ton of detail and shading on his face. Maybe I'm
yeah,
looking too much into it. Who knows?
I see what you mean. In terms of like, I've seen like I'm looking at these shots. They're both like straight ahead, and the shading looks the same. It's just like the elder's got more detail on his face.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a few shots of the elder from like profile view where you see the sort of three-dimensionality of his head,
Yeah.
and it definitely feels like it's trying to like suggest more like big shapes and like just not being subtle with any of the lines or
Cool. So I'm not
shapes on his
crazy.
head.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like they drew him as if he was a monster in some
Yeah.
ways,
And I think,
as opposed to like a sympathetic uh sort of handsome character, I guess.
yeah. And Tajin is like the same. Like he's drawn in like the same style as Dan. Um yeah, he's also in that like I think it's also just like a definite like light and dark decision. Like the Jedi are in this much simpler, like easier to pick up on kind of style, whereas this elder is just in this like crazy, like we're gonna draw every detail of his face, every imperfection, and we're going to get you down to those nitty gritty details type thing. And whether that was on purpose or not, I think it's cool and it's cool to talk about.
Well, one day, hold on, it's loading. One day
Well,
we can ask Masahiko Otsuka um if it was on purpose or not.
yeah, one day we'll get like, actually, I think that'd be more on the director.
It was writer that he's the writer director.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I'm trying to look at what he's done. He's done a lot. Anyway, yeah, maybe one day we'll be that famous that we can ask him. That would be cool. I'd love to be famous enough to talk to that. Trivia takes place before the Phantom Menace, as if you didn't already pick up on that. I mean, most people could probably. Oh wait, never mind. There's like a long gap between that movie and Attack of the
Yeah,
Clones.
it would be cool to see because there is going to be a sequel to the Master and Apprentice novel. I meant to talk to you about that
Okay.
the other day. Um, because we for the podcast we talked off air about the upcoming Lando and Luke novel, which we can maybe discuss later. I don't know. It's something we don't aren't aren't super enthusiastic about, so I don't know if we want to talk about it.
Maybe we'll
But
see.
part of that book announcement was also that there's going to be a sequel to the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan book. So
Which I
maybe
have yet
they,
to read.
yeah. Well, I didn't give it to you, so
No. I'll
I'm not
probably
letting you.
I'll probably
Not letting you
listen to
take
it.
that one.
I'll probably listen to it.
But maybe those characters could show up there,
That would
because
be
it's the
cool.
same era, same sort of. It'd be interesting to see
This
Obi-Wan
is
interact with them.
Yeah, and this is another one of those. This is another one of those episodes, kind of like the Ninth Jedi, that I think they could be like, "This is canon," and I'd be like, "Cool."
Yeah,
Like, doesn't really affect anything. It doesn't. I just don't like. There are some episodes in here that I'm like, if you make this canon, that just like adds in a whole lot of new stuff that we need to talk about. Like, if they made the dual canon, and then now we have all this new like lightsaber stuff that we have to worry about, and like not really have to worry about, but you know what I'm saying. And then like, if TOB1 is canon, now we have like force sensitive droids, and they could just go back and be like, well, all these droids were force sensitive during all this stuff, and that would just kind of be a lot.
I think the more consequential thing with the duel is that like it's obviously post Tross if it were to be considered canon because the stormtrooper helmets are
Oh
first
yeah,
order,
yeah,
and so you'd have to deal with the idea that like this this armor is not that old yet,
yeah,
and there's already a new Sith Lord, multiple Sith Lords.
yeah.
So like, what did we do? What was the happy ending for?
Exactly. And I mean, another episode that you could easily make canon. Uh, what was it called? Why am I not being able to think about the name of the episode? The one where they,
Is it one we've already discussed?
yeah, it was the one where they are like the girl sacrifices herself. Why can I not think of the name of that episode? Um, the
Village
Village
Bride.
Bride. Yeah, like that's another one they could easily just be like, this takes place after the Separatists. Here's another Jedi that survived Order 66. We already know there's a lot more Jedi than we think that survived Order 66. I'm okay with it. But yeah, a few of these episodes, cool, make them canon. A few of them, maybe not. But yeah. Anything else to say about that episode?
Wasn't there like a wild hog that had been slaughtered?
Yes. It wasn't a
That
hog, it was a something weird. Almost looked like a wolf type thing.
maybe I could have been misremembering like the exact like sort of animal, but that sort of reminded me of uh Princess Mononoke. Just like in a it wasn't done as well as Princess Mononoke, but there's just like
Yeah.
there are these boars in that movie and like really grotesque, gross little carcasses that are throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um that like I watched it recently, so it was on my mind.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to probably one of the cooler animation episodes, I think, anyway. We'll go to episode 8, Lop and Ocho. I really like Lop's character design. I think Lop's character design is going to be a hit or miss for a lot of people. Like, either you really like the bunny, the force sensitive bunny, or you don't. But I like her. I think it's cool. I'm always into just like adding in more species that we've never seen before. And I like it. What about you?
Well, I heard that she's like the same species as the green rabbit Jackson
Oh my god.
from the 70s comics.
He's not canon
So
though, so she's the first one we've seen. Oh wait, she's
I
not
think
canon either. Haha.
I think
Anyway.
he's appeared in I think he's appeared in canon at some point, and at least his skeleton did in like a Clone Wars episode.
Oh, I do remember hearing about that. I think, yeah, there was something I read. It was like Jackson is referenced in Clone Wars or something. Is he force sensitive? No, he's a smuggler though, right?
Yeah, he was a smuggler.
Yeah. Okay. So
But anyway,
I
it's a design that we've sort of seen before, but it's like in a different style. The ears are
yeah.
down, not up.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there's the kid version, and then there's like the adult version. Does when she uses the force, does she like stretch?
I don't know.
I thought that's what happened. It looked like she like literally like grew a foot or something like that.
Like grew a third foot or just grew taller?
Um,
Because one of
convert
those
of
is weird and the other one's less weird.
okay. I forgot that the Empire uses the metric system. Uh,
Dude,
you know,
I hope so. It's easier. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't notice that. But I liked the setup of because like okay, we get like this is another one of those like sister conflicts that we get, except now it's not sister versus sister on how to do the right thing. It's sister versus sister on doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. Um, I'm trying to relate it back to Village Bride. You know, you had the two sisters who were both trying to do the right thing, but they're going at it different ways. Again, Satine and Bo-Katan, both
yeah,
all, basically fighting for the right thing, but not doing the right thing. Versus like you have two siblings on opposite sides of a war
yeah.
type thing. So I thought that was very cool, and I think it adds a lot of like depth because while we've never like I feel like there's not been a lot of times in Star Wars where we've been like, oh, Imperial person, I hope they live, you know, or like I'm emotionally invested in like someone who's part of the Empire, other than like Kylo or like, you know, I guess nobody was really invested in Hux, but you know,
Callus.
yeah, yeah, by the end. But at first I was like, Callus needs to die. Like he needs to go. Like I didn't like it, but maybe other people did. But by the end of it, yeah. But like this is like the first time it's like from the beginning, this person was like, I hope that they come back. Like I hope that they make the right decision. I hope that Lop is able to still like bring her back. So that was cool. And then the dad is just like doing his thing.
What?
Wait, okay. I just had a really bad deja vu. I'm sorry. It like interrupted what I was saying because I had a really bad deja vu of something. And this is from like 6 months ago. So that's really weird before the show came out. Anyway, um, also the dad loses his other eye at the end of the episode. Like
Yeah.
rip this guy. Like I can't see. Um, what do you think about the concept of this is a very different concept for lightsabers, but the lightsaber being passed down. I guess we've seen it with the Skywalker lightsaber, but like legitimately like generation to generation to generation, a lightsaber being passed down. What do you think about that?
Um, I'm still making up my mind about that. It's still I know that I was not really moved by it watching it.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things like it's like what I was talking about with the Ninth Jedi about how lightsabers have always been a form of individuality, but for a Jedi. So the fact of it being passed down, I get that that's like it's like a Japanese tradition for like a katana to be passed down from generations. Like, and this is like the Star Wars katana, basically. So I get that, but I also don't know how I feel about it with the way that lightsabers are normally used in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It just reminds me too much of like, Rey, this is Luke's lightsaber. Now it's yours.
It also could be if a factor could be like this is like the 8th episode, and like almost every episode has a riff on lightsabers that like
Mhm.
maybe just gets old after a while. Cause like um L- is Lope is the rabbit, right?
Yes.
So like I feel like you could have just had her be a fun, adventurous character without like I think
Yeah.
it's that being said, this is a better adoption story than like Rey Skywalker for sure.
Oh,
This
absolutely.
is like genuinely heartwarming the way that she gets to be part of this family. But like
There's also ways that you
uh
could have had her defeat the Empire without having to become a Jedi to do it.
yeah, I don't know. I still it's weird because I think
I still like the
it
music
also
though.
is cool to see the juxtaposition of like using a rabbit character that like rabbits are seen as like timid and as uh very quick to escape, and to see her wield a lightsaber and attack was
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe the point.
Well, they also like show
Maybe
that
maybe I need
that
to just give it another watch.
maybe, and I'm gonna go back soon and like I said last episode, I'm gonna go back and rewatch all of them in English. So this will be one of those ones that I need to like go back and watch. But they also like show that at the beginning too. Like you're saying, rabbits are like they represent like timidness and stuff like that. But like okay, this is really dumb, but that like Zootopia is another example. The main character's a rabbit. She's
And
seen as being.
what do you think of the design of Judy Hopps in Zootopia?
I think they over sexualized a rabbit. I think it's weird. Tired of seeing it on my TikTok. But anyway, so
I didn't get that. I didn't get that from watching the movie. It's interesting.
dude,
Do you have any other animated rabbit takes, Spencer?
no, dude, TikTok is ruined I can't watch
Possibly
Zootopia anymore. I can't watch Zootopia anymore
any other
because of
famous rabbits in animation, Spencer?
Bugs Bunny. Is that what you're trying to reference?
I don't know. I'm trying to get you in a trap
I
because
don't know what
you
to
started call
say.
I don't know.
No, what I was gonna say was like she's very timid at the beginning of the episode. Like she's running away from something. I think she escaped from the Empire at one point, and she just kind of runs. She doesn't speak at all at the beginning of the episode. And then by the end of it, she's wielding a lightsaber. So I mean, that's cool character development. Whether I fully like the whole lightsaber part or not. So yeah,
I think maybe I needed more time with Ocho to like maybe feel a little bit more of why she wants to join the Empire.
yeah, that also is a thing. Like all we kind of get from it is that she's like she wants Lope, and then she is like, all right, now we're going to the Empire. Like it almost seems like it's a like we don't get a whole lot of like why she thinks that they're doing the right thing, or like what made her think that way. It's just like she thinks that they're doing the right thing and she's gonna join them. I almost want more of like her as an adult to see what she's like. Um, trivia again. Thanks IMDb. We were just talking about this. Lope is a leppy, also known as a lepus carnivorous. That's her species, the same species as Jackson, the character that first appeared in Marvel Comics Star Wars #8, published 1978.
Yeah,
That's
which
crazy. He's
have that
older.
comic.
That's crazy. He's older than most Star Wars characters. He's one of
Mm-hmm.
the OG 1978. That means he came out a year, not even a year after A New Hope came out. So he's like OG. That's crazy.
Part of the post Star Wars. It was just called Star Wars then.
Yeah.
Part of the post Star Wars merchandise
I
boom,
have
basically.
I had the first comic of that series. Like
So
an
do I.
original copy. You know the one it's literally just A New Hope, but comic version.
Oh, I no. I mean, yeah. So they did adapt A New Hope, but they also launched a Star Wars line
I
of
know
new
what I'm saying.
adventures.
Yeah. So the one that they did that was the first, I think it was the first one they did that was just an adaptation of A New Hope, but basically Darth Vader had like a pink lightsaber almost like that. I had that when I was little. I think it was my dad's, but
It
like
was
it's a
probably like a printing error, like lack of
or my
resources.
dad was just like, or my grandfather was such a big Star Wars fan. I don't
No,
know.
I'm talking about like why the lightsaber is pink.
Oh, we're pink. Yeah, I don't know. It was like barely pink, but yeah, I just thought that was so cool because when I was little, I didn't realize how like crazy that was that I had that. And now, like looking back, like the pages are torn now because I took it out of the page protectors a lot. I was like 4, and I'm like, I hate myself. Like that thing was probably worth so much money. Not that I would ever sell it, but just like the fact that I had like zero respect for how cool it was when I was little, and I was like, it's just the first Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But no. Anyway, we're
Quick
going on a
question.
tangent.
Quick question. Was that comic filled with a bunch of like ads for like those like squishy things you put in a fish tank and they grow, or like muscle growers, or like I don't know, like
They were full of
frisbees?
ads for stuff, but I don't
Yeah.
remember what for. I think it was for other because like at that point, Marvel was also going through like I think Dark Horse Comics at the time.
Mm,
Maybe not.
Dark Horse is a different company.
Oh, I think this might have been a Dark Horse comic.
Or
Maybe,
if it's not, if it's 78.
maybe it's not. I don't remember. But it just had it had an ad for whatever company it was, and for like other stuff that they had put out that they had
If it
published.
if it's Dark Horse, then it's like from the 90s or 2000s. But Marvel is who had them in the 70s and 80s.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I need to
But
find
yeah,
it. I don't know
those
where it's at.
comics then just had the weirdest ads. You
Mm-hmm.
just see like random pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's just like, hey, you're a nerd, but you can build muscles if you subscribe to this newsletter or whatever.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
dude,
Um,
Jackson's such a weird character. Anyway,
to
um,
conclude the Lope and Ocho discussion, the animation, like the sets, this quote unquote sets, like the landscapes, the city, the way they contrast all this like urban development with like a beautiful nature sort of setting,
mhm,
the empire taking over planets, something we've seen countless times with like Rebels and Bad Batch. Always fun to see a new edition of that.
yeah,
Really liked how beautiful it was. And then something I alluded to earlier in the Ninth Jedi is that in the lightsaber fight, they they sort of had just like a black background for some of it, and like really like they like do some dynamic like angles, I guess, that like it goes into this like focused like hyper reality. That's not the right word, but it's not it's not strictly literal. It's just like this figurative like fun way of imagining a fight.
mhm.
It was cool to see.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the last episode, which is episode number 9, Akakiri. I assume that's how you pronounce it, and it's probably wrong because I am a white dude from America, so probably don't know how to pronounce it correctly. But anyway, as I said in the last episode, this is like my least favorite episode. Maybe that'll change over a second watch. I don't know if it's because I had already watched 8 of these, and this is just like the last one that I had to watch. Um, but I want to know what your thoughts were about this episode.
Um, it felt kind of Raylo. It felt kind of Attack of the Clonesy. Like it felt, I really like the dynamic of like a Jedi bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really fun. It reminds me of Attack of the Clones when Anakin was just like on his sort of on his on his mission with Padme.
Yeah.
Um, and the music was really cool. I like the drums. That was very fun little way to like hype up certain action beats. Um, the ending is like kind of a downer for like the series as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt I don't know what it is. It's something that like you definitely want to know what happens next,
Yeah.
but I don't. It's like not as much as others, I guess. Or like maybe it's the fact that the ending is such a shift from the rest of the episode, that it doesn't like leave as much of a mark. But I think it's still very interesting that like this idea of fate and that you can't like everything is predestined.
Hmm.
Um, and that he just couldn't avoid this outcome of him turning to the dark to save who he loved. Um, and he's gonna kill so many more people in the future now. And on a brighter side, I love the guides who like led them
Yeah.
through the canyons and all that stuff,
They were my favorite part about this episode,
and like
honestly.
hid them inside of a wagon. They felt very that they're actually they're just as literal of a Kurosawa adaptation as like the dual aesthetic. Like
So
these full characters, it's like exactly like how the Hidden Fortress starts out.
I was about to say that. So this episode is basically an adaptation of Hidden Fortress. Um, According to
Yeah,
IMDb, and looking at
there's
the story of it, it's pretty similar. Um,
I would say the showdown is different.
yeah.
There's it's got a different ending, but yeah, the idea of well, also the fools in this episode are like still competent. In Hidden Fortress, they sort of just tag along and they're trying to flee.
Yeah.
Um, but regardless, it was fun to see that sort of archetype in this, where they were just like bragging. They're like, "We can't fight, but you need us to navigate." And
Yeah. Well,
we're
also
no,
a
yeah,
funny thing about Hidden Fortress, I haven't seen it, but it stars Toshiro Mifune, who we know from being the idiot in Rashomon and also the Seventh Samurai.
yeah,
So that's right. He's in like every Kurosawa movie. So I think he's like his main actor.
yeah. His
Like
muse.
everybody has their actor that's in everything, and I think he is that for Kurosawa. But yeah. I think my favorite part of the episode were the fools. I thought they were just hilarious, and I just wasn't a huge fan of the animation style. Um, Parts of it were cool, like parts of it were kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbendery. Like the fools were definitely animated very similarly in like weird shots. Um, but like I wasn't a huge fan of I don't know how to pronounce her name. I didn't like the way that I thought she looked kind of weird in the way that she was animated.
Like her head shape, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But it was just like it was a little weird. Also they didn't like show her chin, so it just kind of looked like her face just like melded into her neck.
Some
I'm
people
also,
have faces like that, Spencer.
okay, yeah, but stop making me look like a bad person. I'm just gonna take out the last 20 minutes of this podcast. Um,
It kind of her face kind of reminds me of the Tron animated show.
oh
Tron,
yeah.
what's it called?
I have no idea. I've never seen it. I've only seen screenshots of it or like
I've
small
only
clips.
I've only watched like the first 5 episodes pirated, and I've never gone back to the Disney Plus
Christian, stop.
show.
You're admitting on a podcast about Star Wars that you've pirated from Disney.
It was confusing too because like the credits were reversed and slanted, so like it'll be weird watching it and everything will be reversed and the credits will be on a 180-degree
Normal.
angle.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what the face reminds me of. It doesn't. It looks a lot simpler than other shorts in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think each design for each character does well to accentuate the qualities of the character, especially the Empress Queen character.
Mm-hmm.
I really like her look.
Yeah. I liked her too. Yeah. I thought that was like at first I honestly thought it was supposed to be like a lion, and then I realized that I think it's a human.
Yeah.
I was like kind of confused for a minute. But I overall like liked her design. And like you said, it's one of those where it's like I don't really like the way it ended. Like, or like it's not that I don't like it. I was just like, I can't believe he did that. Like it's what Anakin wanted to do and then failed. Like in that way, it very much it reminded me of Revenge of the Sith. It was like he's just doing what Anakin tried to do, and but actually succeeding at it. Um,
What I'm finding myself right now is that like it's actually good that we're talking about this. So I mean, you watched it very recently, but I watched it when it came out, and so like the fact that it's still stirring in me these questions, and like trying to interpret sort of the things about why certain decisions were made, and it's good that like something as small scale as this is going to have the ability to make us question things about character decisions, like not just like within like it's actually less with this show because it's not canon, that like it's not going to be the thing we reinterpret based off of new information.
yeah,
It'll just be, I think we'll still be able to rewatch it and be like, now I've come to this conclusion about this character.
yeah,
And I'm very proud that that show could do that already.
yeah.
And
I think it's
even if it's not a huge canon grenade that like, they drop this and then it affects other properties and we're gonna get the Ninth Jedi, 3-hour movie. Like spiritually, it could influence further canon stuff.
mhm, I think so.
Not in a story way, but just in that like ideas about the Force could really influence future projects,
Yeah,
and we could always go back to it as like this is like an influential story about Jedi.
yeah. I think this show's a lot more complex and makes us ask a lot more questions than I originally thought it would be. I thought it was just gonna be like a fun little haha, let's do this. And I was like, I don't know how we're gonna do a full hour episode about this show. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, now we've done 2 hour long episodes about this show. Like, this is crazy. Like how much I just like am really enjoying this. Um, and yeah, the fact that we've also like a lot of times when we do episodes of like a show or something, we'll take some notes. But like I have not taken notes for either of the two episodes that we've done, and I've just gone on for 2 hours discussing this. And I'm just like, that's crazy that a show like this can make us do that, can just make us go and just talk forever about something that's not even canon, that doesn't even relate to anything else. Like we're not sitting here making connections the whole time. We're actually talking about the one show.
She doesn't even go here.
Well, the one question I have for you is that after our discussions, does our discussion change your opinion on any of the episodes? And what is your favorite still your favorite from before?
I think my favorite, what I said Toby one, and who else?
You said Toby one and the Ninth Jedi, I think.
Yeah, I stand by those.
Okay. I
And most things that have changed is that um I think Lope and Ocho might go below the twins now. Only in that like I've made my peace with the twins. Like I know the things that don't work and why it still is like commendable.
mhm,
But with Lope and Ocho, I know I need to go into it again to fully come out with it. So that's why it's
yeah.
like technically at the bottom.
Yeah. All right.
I don't, either that or the elder though, because like the elder is not aspiring to as much as Lope and Ocho. So like the fact that I can't fully appreciate Lope and Ocho on a story level, I think that's it's a weird way of breaking disappointment slash excitement.
Yeah.
They're all good episodes though.
I think after our discussions, the Ninth Jedi and the Elder have moved up. So I think that the Ninth Jedi is probably my favorite episode after talking. And I will say TOB1 is no longer my least favorite episode. That's also because it's the one that I went back to. And I think um either Akakiri or the twins is probably my least favorite. So yeah,
Interesting.
well, a little bit of change there. I still really like the duel. It's awesome, and like the umbrella lightsaber, very cool. But anyway, yeah, that's how my opinions have changed. Anything else about this show that you want to talk about in a wrap up?
For season 2, what do we want them to focus on?
Oh Lord, Christian, I don't know.
I have ideas.
Well, my answer is something new and something different. So I don't know. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
I want them to do. I just want them to do something different.
I think the running theme should be non force users. In fact, like mostly cynical. Well, you don't have to be cynical, but just like characters who have no contact with the force and have other talents that come in contact with unexplainable forcey things.
Yeah, I like
So
that
like
idea.
like people who are really into droid building or piloting
Hmm.
or blasters or like that sort of like make the next season like more like I don't know if you'd call it hard sci-fi, but just like really delving into like the gadgets, machinery, but and creatures too.
Yeah,
Have a rancor keeper or something.
yeah, and like this is every single one of these episodes is about a force user. Every episode is very forcey and it establishes or discusses something different about the force.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
like really reveres the lightsaber.
yeah. So I would love something, I agree, that is just like not Jedi or like someone who doesn't know, or like you said, just someone who's like a someone who builds droids or something. Like I like that idea. I love that for an episode. Um, so yeah, I just want something different that we haven't seen before. I think all of these episodes are something that we haven't seen before. While we are like relating them to some stuff we've seen in Star Wars, they're all very like their own thing. They're not just copying something else.
Boom. Ideas for voice actors to come for season 2.
I feel like we should have like a smaller episode about that where we can discuss some Japanese voice actors as well. Because I
Good
would
diplomatic, good diplomatic answer.
I would feel bad just being like, here are all the American people that I would love in the dub.
Yeah. I
Especially
think
because this whole show is like Japanese culture is just as good at making Star Wars as we are, or even
mhm,
better in some cases. Um, I don't want to just like completely do them out because I don't know any of their names.
yeah. I think so the voice of Lakara is Kimiko Glenn, and I don't know all of what she's in, but she's like I think she's in a lot of Disney XD shows, and like she's like a very I think she's like one of those like voice actors that's got like a good fan following now.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's one of the few dub like actors in the dub that like are voice actors and not like live action names.
Yeah.
If they had her come back for a role every season, that'd be cool.
One thing I do like about one of these episodes, I can't figure it out. Wait, let me go back and remember. But for one of the episodes, like everybody in the cast, even in the English dub, is either just like generally Asian or probably Japanese. I
In
thought
the
that was
dub,
yeah, I thought that was cool. It's the Ninth Jedi. All of the everyone in the dub is also Asian or Japanese because I can't tell you if they're all Japanese or not. But that was cool.
yeah. And then Only other request would be if D. Bradley Baker did some creature noises.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm surprised he's not in this show.
Yeah.
Oh, and also all of everyone in the Village Bride is also Japanese.
He might be too expensive though. Like imagine how much he gets paid for the Bad Batch.
They got Neil Patrick Harris and
Yeah, but
Shimu
that
Liu.
I know, but like his rates have to go up, is what I'm saying. Because they demand so much of him now.
Oh, probably.
So it means more to be like, hey, can we grab you for a quick little purr session where you do cat noises? He's like, don't waste my time. I have to work on like hundreds of clones perspectives in my head at all
Dude,
times.
I was listening to a podcast and they're like, D. Bradley Baker is going to be voice acting for Star Wars until he dies, and
Yeah.
they're probably right. He will be doing it until he's dead. Oh man. All right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Nah.
All right. Well, sorry, I wanted to go into the outro and then I burped. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode of Last Star Wars podcast. We hope that you enjoyed Visions half as much as we did. This show is just great. We can't wait for a season 2, and go back and watch them when you get a chance. They're great. I hope you're excited for next week, because next week we're gonna start a new series because there's no shows coming out this fall. Big sad. We don't get to have our yearly Mandalorian talk in the fall, which we're kind of sad about, but we get to do another cool thing. I know a long time ago we kind of teased is Indiana Jones Star Wars series that we were going to do. We're going to kind of mix it up a little bit, and we're going to do another mutual rankings marathon starting next week. And we're going to rank all of the Indiana Jones movies. We'll probably do like a miniature Is This Star Wars like at the end of those episodes, because we said we would. And also I think it would be cool just to be like, is this Star Wars? Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see how it goes. So come back Wednesday and we'll be doing our least favorite Indiana Jones movie. I won't give away what it is. You'll just have to come and listen to it. So thank you for listening. If you want to find us on social media, you can find us at Last Star Wars Pod on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us at the Last Star Wars Podcast on Facebook and YouTube, where now you can see our beautiful faces when you watch. If you want to email us, you can email us at laststarwarspod@gmail.com. We will read all of your emails on the podcast. We currently do not have any, so please send us some. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think about Visions. Let us know any of your Indiana Jones hot takes. We could read those out on the podcast as we go into it. And let us know what kind of episodes that you want to see, because we have a little bit of a gap between after we finish this series until we get to the Boba Fett show. So let us know, because we'd love to have some ideas. Last but not least, we would like to tell you to go check out StarWarsNowThis.com if you want to find another Star Wars podcast that you can listen to every week, just like you listen to this one, hopefully every week. You can go on there. It's a great library for all kinds of Star Wars podcasts about anything in the Star Wars universe. So go check it out. It's the first link in the description of this episode, StarWarsNowThis.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of Last Star Wars Podcast, and we'll see you on Wednesday.